So today is day 5, and our amazing belief is it has to be hard. So, what are your thoughts when you think of that as a limiting belief? So, if you've ever caught yourself believing that if something doesn't hurt, it doesn't count. Now, um, I've heard for years some of these things that allude to this. Um, what was the one when you're, especially working out and things like that? If it's not hurting, it's not working. Yeah, it has to be painful to make a change, right? So many different beliefs. So, what now we want to understand that when you have these beliefs, it feels that ease is suspicious. And that if you don't suffer for whatever it is you're wanting to do, it probably won't last. So, today we're pulling the thread on one of the most accepted and encouraged, yet quietly destructive beliefs out there. The belief that, like I said, it has to be hard. And if you've ever said yes to burnout and no to ease, you're not alone. I know for me, I've had times where I thought it can't be that easy. So what am I doing wrong? Or I feel like if it's this easy right now, something's going to happen and make it harder, right? So, really quick, my name is Vicky Poole. I help people identify and release the beliefs that quietly run their lives so they can move forward with clarity, confidence, and self trust. And for these last 11 days of January, we've been looking at the limiting beliefs that most often block success, peace, money, and fulfillment. So each day, I'm just not naming the belief, I'm actually helping you see how it shows up. Hello, Christine. And offering a simple shift that you can start using immediately. So let's talk about today's belief. So I don't know if you heard when I first got on here, Christine, but thank you. But the belief is it has to be hard. Because when your nervous system equates struggle with value, you'll unconsciously resist anything that comes with ease. And what is it that I know, especially as an entrepreneur, there are so many different people out there that are wonderful people. Yeah, they actually they come from this out of place. Now, not to say that they're wrong, it works for them, but it doesn't work for everybody. And maybe you could still be easier with yourself. But how many times have you heard the thing that if you're an entrepreneur, you work because you can sleep when you're dead. You're supposed to be having your nose to the grindstone, right? You're supposed to be in the season where you work the soil and you get everything good and then you reap the harvest later, which all of that implies that you don't stop. You don't do anything for self-care. You don't do anything because this is what you have to do, right? So this belief is quite sneaky because it disguises itself as ambition, like I just talked about, and it sounds responsible, right? It sounds noble. But here's what it actually does. You overthink simple ideas until they feel impossible. Been there, done that, right? You dismiss ease as luck and downplay your natural strengths. People do that all the time. Maybe you've done that yourself. Maybe you sabotage systems that would help you work smarter because it feels too easy. You overwork to prove your worth. I mean, especially when you look at people in organizations, in companies, right? They think it's normal to work not a 40-hour work week, right? A 60, 70-hour work week. That to get to the top, you have to give up life and do this, right? And if you're not doing that, it implies that you won't be successful. And sometimes you even feel anxious when things feel too easy. Why? Because somewhere along the way, your system learned that success must be earned through pain. I remember what the the saying was when it came to working out: no pain, no gain, right? And people take that all over. So most of us didn't choose this belief consciously. We absorbed it. And like I said, you may have heard things like, nothing worth having comes easy. Have you heard that one? How about you, Christine? Have you heard that one? I know I did many, many times. You have to work twice as hard. And especially women, I think, feel that way. And that's the way that it's like you have to do more, work twice as hard for success, right? And of course, we've all heard money doesn't grow on trees. And it could be that you watched people you love grind themselves into exhaustion and get praised for it. So your brain, in its ultimate intelligence, made a rule. If I want to succeed, I need to brace for pain. But here's the truth. Struggle is not a requirement for success. Pain is not a prerequisite for prosperity. Suffering is not proof of worth. And ease can be safe. I mean, if working hard and suffering meant you were successful, the ditch diggers would be the billionaires, right? And that's not the case. So here's what this belief really, really cost you. You overdeliver and undercharge. And if you work for someone else and not for yourself, maybe you work off the books. Maybe you get a promotion that gives you so many more responsibilities, very little extra pay. You might resist rest because it feels undeserved. Struggling is not proof of worth. I love this. Thank you, Christine. I do too. I tell you. And maybe you push away support because you think you should do it alone. And we have learned that that is not the case, right? Maybe your cost is that you turn down aligned opportunities because they feel too easy. And you know, the thing too to think about is it's not like somebody shows you this opportunity and you think, oh, that feels too easy, I'm not going to do that. No, you don't logically think of that. There's something that will like ding, 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 ding. And all of a sudden you'll think, oh, this feels like too good to be true. This feels like that it's not going to work for very long, or you'll have all the rationale. But what's really going on behind the scenes is that feels too easy. Something's off. So you crave freedom, but recreate pressure because it's familiar. And over time, tension becomes your baseline. But that's not truth. That's conditioning, and it can change. So one of the things that I think is important to kind of just chat about right here is, hold on. All right. So as we've gone through these different beliefs, and our brain is constantly looking for what's safe and what's not safe, right? But it's not necessarily that one's good and one's bad. Your brain looks at things that are safe as the things that you've survived. And if you've survived being on the struggle bus, if you've survived being constantly working and feeling less than, if all of those things have been going on and you have survived, it's almost like your body gets addicted to those things and that becomes your normal, right? And I'm speaking to myself here because this is something that I have struggled with so many, many times, right? So that conditioning that you have, you almost have an internal vision of who you are. And, you know, I talk about that financial thermostat, the weight thermostat. So you have a thermostat in your mind of what is normal for you. So if you've been a person that has struggled for a long time financially, that's your normal. It's going to figure out, well, this is how much they can make and still struggle, so we'll stay there. If it's that you work way more hours than you should and you feel exhausted, you've survived that. That's your normal. So your thermostat is set at exhaustion, hard work, not as much coming in. And so you can look back into your life over the past few years and see what is the reoccurring thing. And then you can look at it and say, that's my conditioning. That's all it is. It is not truth. It is conditioning that you have without knowing it. You have actually been creating that for yourself all the time. But now we're going to talk about how it can change. By the way, if this belief feels uncomfortably familiar and you're realizing how long you've been living inside it, I want to offer you a grounded next step. So I'm opening a limited number of decision reset sessions, and this is a 45-minute private session where we identify your belief or your internal conflict that's keeping you stuck and reset it so you can move forward with clarity and self-trust and ease. Now, this is not coaching. It's not a pep talk. It's for women who are done circling the same question and are ready to choose. Now, the investment for this is only $149, and I'm going to put the link in the comments. And you can also DM me if you want to get some little bit more info. But if the deeper work is needed from there, I'll tell you. But many people experience meaningful relief and a direction from this one session alone. So you can book it, like I said, using the link I'm going to share. Okay, so there is the link. Let me get back to my notes. Did the link share? Well, maybe it didn't. Hold on a second. Did it share? There we go. Now it's shared. I have to keep checking on myself, right? All right. So before we close, here's today's simple shift. All right. So, like I said, here's today's simple shift. I want you to say this quietly to yourself and notice what happens. It's safe to allow ease. My success doesn't have to hurt. I don't have to suffer to prove my worth. Ease does not mean laziness. Ease means alignment. In alignment. Well, it is enlightenment too. So it actually means letting your body and your mind rest in a new story, one where you're supported, not punished for your gifts. If something in you felt relief hearing that, trust it. And remember, life is delicious. Grab every single bite. And I will see you tomorrow where we go into another limiting belief. And to be honest with you, I forgot to put it in here and I don't remember what that limiting belief was, but it's a surprise, I guess. So I will see you here tomorrow. And I look forward to being on this journey with you. Remember, you can DM me if you have any questions, but grab the link and check out the decision reset session. All right. See you tomorrow, guys. Mwah.